It's time to finish our horse called JC. That's all coming up next. Well, welcome back to the shop. My name is Brett and I'm glad you have tuned in. This week we're going to go ahead and we're going to get JC finished up here. Now last week where we left off is I brought him in and I had said that I probably am not going to show the primering process or anything like that because I've done that lots of times again on the channel and it's pretty boring. It's just laying primer down, letting it dry, sanding it, laying primer down, you know, kind of rinse and repeat kind of a thing. So the primer's all done, he's all sanded and prepped and he's ready for his base coat. And what I've done here is I've gone ahead in some areas and I've sprayed my white base coat down. So for the marking on his face, I've already got this sprayed white and he had two white stockings in the back. So I've got that part all painted white. Now, JC unfortunately passed away a few years ago. Pam had told me some nice stories about JC and what a wonderful horse he was. And I do get asked from time to time to paint horses like, you know, a beloved horse that somebody has lost. And when I get asked that, they'll send me pictures and a lot of times I don't get a whole lot of great pictures. But Pam did have lots of pictures of JC, and one of the pictures that she sent me, which is fantastic, is a really nice head-on shot of his marking. He had a really unique marking down the front of his face, and I want to try to capture that. And because again, that is just something that, you know, represents JC. And so his distinctive marking, Pam says it kind of looks like Old Mother Goose, and she's right. You know, you can see in here like a duck bill and maybe like a cap, that kind of thing. And so it is a really unique, distinctive marking that JC had. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm set up out here on my bench. And well, let's just go out there and I'm going to explain to you what I think I can do since I've got such a wonderful shot like this of JC. So what I'm going to try here is I've taken JC's picture here and I put it into my copier and I'm blowing it up, and I went with I think 105% and then went 110%, and I believe this one here is about 115% enlarged. And I'm going to try this. I think this will at least get us really, really close. So if I have to alter it a little bit to make it work on our horse, then you know we can do that. So I've blown up JC's picture here, and then carefully I've taken my utility knife here and I've worked around and I've cut everything out. So I've got it cut out here, and just like when I make a paint horse, I use blue tape, and I have one of my self-healing mats here. So I've gone ahead, I put some blue tape down, and I'm just going to go ahead and mark out his marking, and then we can go ahead and cut this one out. And since I've already painted his face white, we'll just go ahead and we'll lay this tape over top of the white. Then we should be able to go in with our base coat and we should be able to spray everything, do everything, and then again, just like my paint horses, you've seen me do this, and some of you that are new to the channel, you can go back and kind of watch, but we'll be able to pull this tape and then we're going to kind of reveal his marking, this Mother Goose style marking here. So let's give this a shot. Let's see how we do. Over the years, like I said, I do get asked to make a horse and paint it to represent, or what do I want to say? You know, just to kind of make it look like somebody's horse that they unfortunately had lost. And I've done this before, but I've never had a marking this distinctive before. They'll usually have a star, you know, the blaze or something, but not one like this. So this will be fun to reproduce. think I'll go in and open this up here just a little bit. Okay, let's see if we can pull this tape. Okay, there we go. So now let's carefully peel this up, and then let's go in to the paint booth and we'll lay this on JC and see if we can make this work. Okay, I think I'll start at the bottom, at the nostrils. Okay, so I don't think this one's going to work, but that's okay. I think what I'm going to do is blow this up a little bit more, because this mother goose marking here, we'll say this is the bill, the duck bill right here. It looks like on JC it was up in here, so we want to be a little bit longer. If I need to, what I can do is cut this tape right here a little bit, and we can just elongate this just a little bit. But let me go out and let me scan this again, and let's blow it up and let's try it again. Okay, let's just take a quick look here. Now, I blew this up to, I believe, 113%. So let's see. His folds, this pink kind of comes into that bottom nostril. That looks good. This other side kind of wraps around. That looks good. Let's see the top. It's going to be right up in here, so that's pretty good. Now this part here, be right above the eye. And I think this is going to be pretty close, and then the duck bill there is again right above his eye, and that's where that's landing. So I think this one ought to work. So let me run out and I'll recut this, and we'll come in, put it on, and we'll see what all we need to do. I think I'm going to have to tweak a little bit, but I could freehand this and draw this, and this is normally what I do. I'll freehand markings on special markings and put them on. But I think, again, since I have such a nice head-on view, I think it'd be just such a nice touch to try to take the exact marking from JC and put his exact marking right from a picture right on here. I'm sentimental like that, so let me run out, let me get this cut out, and we'll be back. Okay, so let's try this again. Already tell, I think we're kind of in the ballpark here. Come down a little bit more. This little part right here is kind of lining up. I went ahead and adjusted this part so it kind of curves into the nostrils. So I think this is the only one that I think I can adjust because we're kind of on the top of that nostril. So we could cut this and lift it up and bring it up a little bit. And obviously we're going to have a little bit of bleed, which is to be expected when I put the base coat on. But this shouldn't be that hard, knock on wood, to go in with an artist brush and touch up where we need to touch up. Might surprise us though. There, I think that's acceptable. Again, we're not going for, you know, total realism and everything, you know, because again, we're taking something, you know, a real horse and we're adapting it to, you know, a rocking horse. But again, we kind of want the spirit of JC to be in this horse and to be able to lift his marking, his exact marking from the picture, I think will really do him justice. Good. The tape actually went down really nice. So let me go ahead and let me tape up the stockings on the back, and I usually will put a bag around those, the hooves all the way up to keep the overspray, keep the paint off of that. So let me get those done. We can mix up our base coat and then let's lay our base coat down. Okay. We've got everything marked off. I've got his back legs marked off and I've got them wrapped up in bags so we can save the socks that we already painted, that white back there. I've sanded the primer with 120 with some of my sanding sponges, so that's all prepped and ready to go. What I'm gonna do is I've got like a chocolate brown mixed up in my gun, and what I always do is I just don't go in here and lay the paint on. I just wanna mist it on at the beginning here because I want to create like a tack coat. It's kind of like painting a car. I just want to mist that paint on, let it set, let it dry. I'll come back in again, sand it down, and then we can lay the paint down from there. I think then that paint will bind a little bit better to this primer. So that's how I've been doing it for a number of years. It seems to work out pretty good. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's bring JC to life. Good. Now I'll let this dry for about an hour, set up, come back in, then I'll sand it again with 120 and just lightly sand it, and then we can lay the paint down. Okay, so there's our base coat of paint on JC here. Now, those of you that follow me, I love to play with color, and I think you all know that. So some of you that are new to the channel, you know, I am an artist at heart. I do have an art background, and I painted since I was little. I've always drawn and I painted, and I love playing with color. So these horses, it's a lot of fun to build layers. So a lot of you may be wondering, well, that's not even close to what JC looks like. Just hold on, and you know, let me work my magic here. But what I'm going to do is I'm approaching JC just like I do with my pinto horses, my paint horses, and I do a base coat of like a chocolate brown, and I'll let this set up. JC, looking at all the pictures, he has some auburn colors in here and a little bit of tan, some black around his muzzle. So he's got lots of interesting colors going on. So this is going to be fun to bring that all out. But we're going to start with this chocolate color first. And then once this dries, I'll come back in here and I've got other colors mixed up. And we're going to dust on some tans, and we're going to dust on some other colors on here. Then we'll go in the next day or so, we'll get the airbrush going. Then you're going to see some really cool things happen here when I start airbrushing and we start layering those paint colors on here. But yeah, it starts with this color. So let's just walk away, let this set up, and we'll come back in here tomorrow and we'll just keep playing with it. But eventually we're going to bring JC to life. Okay, it's a new day in the shop here. JC, his base coat is on. I actually came in again a little bit last night and sanded some areas, touched up. So the paint has had quite a bit of time now to dry. I've left my little heater going in the shop here overnight to really let this paint set up. And I think it's dry enough that we can go ahead and move on to the next layer, which is going to be kind of like a tan, a reddish tan. JC, looking at the pictures that Pam has provided for me, he has quite a bit of a, we'll say a reddish brown, because he's kind of a bay in around the chest area, the legs, around his belly, back legs. When we get up into his neck area, he's more black, so we're going to be able to mist in some black and bring that out. He has quite a bit of tan around the back of his mouth and up around the back of his jaw. So this color that I already have mixed up ought to work really, really well. Now again, it's going to be a lot lighter than what the picture is, but don't worry, again, we're going to layer paint on. So the way I work is I try to pick out colors almost like the lightest color, and then I can start working that down with the airbrush and the different paints and just sort of start blending everything. So it's all going to make sense in the end here. So I've got the paint already in the gun, so I'm going to go around and I'm going to lay this tan color on JC, and then we'll walk away and we'll let this dry again the rest of the day, and then we'll be ready to start airbrushing. And we may airbrush tomorrow. You know, again, I don't know. But with the moisture, we've had quite a bit of rain the last couple of days. So there's a lot of moisture in the air. So I really want to let this paint just really, really set up. And the last thing you want to do is put clear coat over paint that really hasn't cured yet. So anyways, let me go ahead. I'll get the gun. Let's spray this on, and I'll bring you in. It's kind of tight in here in the paint booth. So I'll bring you in, and then I'll show you kind of what it looks like in the end here. Okay, I think that's good enough for now, and I think that's enough of that particular color that we're just gonna let this set and really dry good. Then we can start coming in and we'll start layering with the airbrush. We're gonna start with light brown and we'll just start working all of this and start blending all of these colors in, and we'll just build on that. I think it's gonna look really good when we're done. Good, let's just walk away. Well, I think enough time has passed here, so let's go ahead and let's start layering on the paint here, and let's start bringing JC to life. We're going to start with our light brown Createx airbrush paint. I'm just going to lightly just start misting on that light brown over top of this. We'll call it a golden or like a tan color. We're going to start blending all of that. Well, that color will tone that tan down. We're going to start blending all of that into this base color, this chocolate color that I put down. And I apologize, my paint booth is a nice size, but it's kind of tight in here for getting camera shots. So I'm gonna do my best to kind of at least show you some things, and hopefully you'll be able to kind of follow along. But then once I get a layer on, I'll walk you around and I'll try to reposition the camera so that you can kind of really see what I'm working on here. But right now it's just basically, we're just gonna start layering the paint on. We're gonna start with light brown. So we can start, we'll start up here on his chest area. JC, looking at all the pictures, and I've been studying these pictures for, well, we'll say a few weeks. You know, it got a lot of the dark brown, the black up in his neck and in some areas here, then it drifts down and it gets into like this reddish color like a bay would have. His legs coming up are black on both sides. So he's got a lot of the black in him. But my light brown has a bit of a, that's the other thing. I hope, again, I've got to tell you, my air compressor is going to kick on and off, obviously, so I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me over top of that. But my light brown actually has a bit of a red tone. You can kind of see it coming through here. This airbrush paint dries fairly quick, so I'll just keep kind of working my way around. We'll kind of go up in here and visit some of his facial details around the jaw and things. We'll tone that down. I'll just keep working my way around, and I'm just going to continue to just layer this paint on, and it'll eventually, I always use the word depth, it'll start showing you some depth. That's what I want ultimately. I like, you know, these horses when they're sitting in different rooms throughout your home. You'll see different lighting come through, and I want you to pick up on some different tones and some different colors throughout your home. You know, throughout the day, throughout the year, the seasons, that kind of thing. So I like light playing, you know, with these horses. I've got a couple in our living room, and it's fun at different times and different periods throughout the day and the evening that, you know, you look over and you'll see one of these horses, and then they sort of look different at times, and I love that. So he's got quite a bit of brown coming through the back of his mouth, so we're going to leave that coming through. It kind of goes up into the back part of his nostril, so we'll leave that alone. I like that. We'll just keep working our way back. Got some of this gold coming through back in here. And again, I'll bring you around so that you can kind of see, but I'm going to leave some of this kind of peeking through this brown. Glad I've got a big bottle of this light brown because we're going to use it. I'm really surprised nobody commented on my my bed sheet back here behind in front of my big window. It does serve a purpose. I know it doesn't look very good. I had a chuckle when I was editing the videos. But this big window, I love having it in the paint booth, but then a lot of times it floods way too much light in here, and then I struggle with trying to see what I'm doing. I'm going to correct this. I may even correct this window. Once JC is home, I've got another little horse I'm working on. We may come in here and we may take this apart, and then I may go through and trim out this window, finish trimming it. I've got really big blinds, a big blind that I picked up that's going to help a lot with the lighting in here. So maybe I'll do a quick video on, you know, how to trim a window out. Airbrushing though, I haven't been doing it very long, probably 5 years, 6 years, and I'm still learning myself on this. But it's a lot of fun, and I always encourage people, especially when you're painting, it doesn't matter what you're painting, to, you know, just experiment, play with it. You know, it's only paint. If you don't like where it's going, you know, you can always paint over it again and start over. But I love building layers. I love experimenting with these horses. It's a lot of fun for me. And JC, like I said, has a lot of really cool tans and some really cool colors, so we can really kind of build on that. Really like, wait until you see around the mouth, you know, the back of the mouth and everything. It really, really looks good. I guess when I'm doing this too, I'm kind of thinking a couple of steps ahead, so I can already in my head, I can sort of visualize the black, you know, coming up the legs and where I want to, you know, spray the black and that dark brown. So I can already kind of visualize it in my head. Definitely going to look great. See, I'm starting to walk my way back around again. Just layering that paint on, just misting it. Okay, back at it. I apologize. It looked like my lapel microphone died, so I've got it charging. So I've got you set up. I've got a microphone on my camera, a boom mic that I'm going to try here. So hopefully the audio, hopefully you can hear me. And if it died on that last little bit, what I did is I was looking at some pictures of JC on my phone, and it looked like he has a little bit more red up in here. So I always keep paint in the gun, and I just went in and we just dusted a little bit more of that tan on there. So I just want a little bit more red up in here. So like I said, I always try to keep paint in my main gun, so if I don't like an area, I can go back and revisit it just like I did here and play with it a little bit. Clean the gun again, and then we'll come back in and we'll start adding some of the dark brown. Okay, as you can see, I ended up changing out that that old bed sheet on my back window. It was just still getting a little bit too much light, so I found that old white one here. So that's working really well. It's acting as a good diffuser, so that's kind of helping me here a little bit. I'll just start working this dark brown down here a little bit in the chest area. You'll see me from time to time step back a little bit, because what I'm doing is I'm letting that fan spread out even more, and letting that paint, that mist, spread out a little bit more, because I don't want to cover up. I don't want to go too heavy and cover up those gold tones and those red tones. Again, this is all just layering. We're just laying it on light. And then we'll just go back and revisit again, layer it on. Just all patience. I may end up doing the side that's over against the window, because I can see that when I'm looking on this side, it's still a bit washed out because we have quite a bit of light coming through. So I may have to wait till later in the afternoon and see, as the sun moves over. I don't want to pick the horse up and turn it for obvious reasons. I don't want to, mess up what we're doing. So again, I'm in no hurry. I don't mind if I have to wait a few more hours. Other things I can be working on in the shop. And we can come back in and revisit this. And I'd like to, and I've said this before, when I'm painting, I like coming in throughout different parts of the day and looking at a horse that I'm working on. So I may work on it early in the morning. I may come back in the evening, and I may even come in here at 9 o'clock at night, you know, and look it over and maybe touch up a few areas, you know, so just kind of the way I work. Because again, I'm trying to think, and I want to paint this so that when it's sitting in your home and in various parts of the day, you'll see different colors, and it's going to change on you. And that's all just that layering. Real no trick to it. It's just taking your time. See, I know JC, his legs get real dark, almost black up in here, coming up in. So I'll start working that area. But like I said, it's kind of hard on this side, so I've still got quite a bit of light coming through. But when you look at it over here, it looks really cool. I'll bring the camera around so that you all can see, you know, the colors that I've got going on here. At this point. And this is from the back looking up, you can kind of really see. Again, I hope you're picking up what I can see. See how this dark brown is really starting to darken up his neck area, but yet you still see some of that red coming through. I'm going to leave the head right now for now. I mean, I kind of like it. I think it's pretty cool. But, you know, I'm not sure if that's exactly how JC's, you know, head looked. So I'll just keep looking at it throughout the day here. At this side, unfortunately, with that light coming through, it's a bit washed. So hopefully here later in the afternoon, that sun will move and we can come over here and work on that. But I started, you know, hitting the dark brown up in here too. So I've waited about an hour or so, and the sun is kind of moving. So I'm back in here, laying some more dark brown down. Good. I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to clean my gun out. And then I'm going to mix up a little bit of black with my dark brown, and then we're going to start layering that on, and we'll start darkening these legs and the hooves and the nostrils, you know, around the eyes. And this color really, once we add that black, should really make all these colors really pop. Okay, I've mixed up a little bit of my dark brown and black, and now I'm going to start to layer again on here. We'll start at the bottom of the legs, and then we'll just kind of blend those and darken those and work those up on either side. Then we'll go back in and we'll revisit the neck, and we'll just continue to, same thing, just continue to layer. Okay, we're ready to go with black. Now, in this case, we're going to say less is more. So we're just going to hit some areas. Again, we're going to mist it. Definitely do the legs because they need blackened up. He's got a lot of black up in here and a little bit around his head there. So, but again, we don't want to overdo this. So, just want to give, you know, some appearance of black. Okay, I sent pictures to Pam for her approval, and she loves everything I've done. I told her, unfortunately, you know, a good bit of this is going to be covered up by the saddle pad, the saddle, you know, the martingale that's going to come down. So, you know, but it's still fun to try to get it as close as we can. So let's go ahead and pull the tape, and then I can add the pink that's in here. I can already see a little bit of bleeding, but that's to be expected. Good. Well, good morning. It's a new day here in the shop, and as you can see, we have JC all painted, and he's looking good. So I'm just going around here this morning and looking for little things that need touched up, because I'm all set up, and I'm going to go ahead and get clear coat on him today. So today's a big day. And again, those of you that follow me know that, you know, this is where my anxiety level kind of, you know, kicks in, because again, you put all of this work into making these horses, and it all comes down to the clear coat and the finishing. And I don't anticipate anything going wrong, but there's always that possibility. I always too do a test area, so this time I did the front leg up here, just a few inches of it, and I just spray the clear on there just to make sure the clear, everything's gonna behave itself. I'm not gonna see any, you know, anything gonna go crazy, and everything looks good. So we're set to go. I talked to Pam, the client, and I've sent her pictures and I've sent her video of the final product, and she just absolutely loves it. She's so excited, and it makes me feel good, you know, that I'm able to do this for her and her family. So, like I said, we're all set to go. I'm just going to kind of go around once, touch everything up, and then we'll go ahead and put the clear down. Okay, here we go. looks good. First coat. So we'll let this set up, give it about 20-25 minutes or so. And then I'll give it a light sand again with 220, and then we'll do the second coat. Okay, here we go. 3 coats of clear on JC. And he looks fantastic. Well, are you all ready to see what JC looks like out here in the light? Let's go get him. It's funny because this is my table that I usually use to assemble on. And again, this is the first time I've ever done a large horse on bow rockers. Well, as you can see, it doesn't quite fit on my table here, so we're going to have to make a couple of adjustments to make this table work. Well, I ended up finding that my scrap barrel that I usually use over for my bandsaw was just about the right height with a board across it, so that gives me the extra room to put old JC up here on my bench. So what do you think though? Isn't he pretty amazing? I just love, again, the colors that are coming through, and of course the camera's not going to pick a lot of that up, but you know, you can really see after you get the clear coat on, you know, the depth with all of those layers of paint. It just really looks good. And with this royal blue, this suede against him that Pam asked for, it's really gonna set him off. So let's go ahead, we'll get set up here and let's put JC together and we'll get into the final assembly. So before I kind of get started putting the tack on and everything, I always like to sign my work, and the best place I do that is under the saddle. There's also other areas like underneath the rocker where people will know that it was something that I had made. But a personalized signature, there's nothing, you know, better for an artist to do than to sign his work. And I like to do it under the saddle because that way I feel that it's going to be protected for years to come. And I also added that this was made for JC. So JC, he had passed away on January of 2022. So we've got that done. So let's go ahead and let's put the saddle down. Let's get JC finished up here. So I've been talking to Pam back and forth, either text messages or we've called and talked to each other on the phone. And she's so excited about her horse coming together, and it's been a lot of fun to watch the process. And I said, well, what's really fun for me is to pull the tape on the eyes when you get to this point, because that's when, to me, it feels like, you know, the soul, JC here, is going to really come to life. And it just seems like that's when the soul kind of, at least for me, enters the horse, and you really kind of see this horse come to life. And I always like getting to this point where you can pull the tape on the eyes, because you know this one's coming to an end. And then we can start on another and another. There he is with his tape over his eyes. You can see again. Of course, we'll clean up the eyes. Got a little haze from the tape. And we'll touch up, but yeah, there we go. Good. Well, JC sure is coming together. The last thing we have to do is put his bridle on. I have the eyes all touched up. I went ahead and did that here this morning. I still have to clean the tape residue off of them. The mane and tail are in place. I apologize, I forgot to hit the record button, or I thought I hit the record button when I was finishing setting the mane, but that is all done. And I've let it sit overnight. I usually put a couple of towels or a blanket on the mane and start training that to lay down nice and flat. So that looks good. So yeah, let's put the bridle on, then we can bring the rockers over and we'll set them on the rockers and then step back and take a look and see what he looks like. So the front is here, so I'll get the front because I've got a line. Yeah, so we're going to walk it around. Get my mark. Okay. Well, here he is, all finished up, and he is ready to go home. JC, our large horse on bow rockers. Of course, the last thing I have to do is put my hang tag in place. I always put that on the bridle, and then it's pretty much crating him up and get him sent home to Nevada. I'm really excited for Pam and her family to see him in person. You know, to see him in pictures is one thing, but to actually see him in person is going to be quite another, and I know she's going to be ecstatic when she finally gets him home and gets him in place. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for me for this episode on building a large horse on bow rockers. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a comment down below on how you think it turned out. I think he looks fantastic, and I'm so glad that we dropped the ears down just a little bit more. I just love the overall piece and how it turned out. But again, drop a comment down below. As always, I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me here at the shop. And if you've enjoyed watching me build this large horse on bow rockers, don't forget to like this video, of course, share it, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that bell so that you're notified whenever I post a new video. You can check me out, of course, on Pinterest and Instagram, TikTok. My website is greenfieldwoodworks.com. And that is going to do it for me for this episode. We're going to be doing some more cool things coming up, so you're not going to want to miss that. But again, happy carving, take care, and we'll see you again.